was buzzing for this podcast with yourself, because I totally believe what you're doing is, you know, the small to medium enterprise guy at the moment is in, a lot of these guys are in serious risk and they don't know it, or maybe they do know it and they're just not, you know, putting the attention to it. And I know that we're going to talk about later on where you've got some tools and techniques that people can follow. But I suppose if we take a step back and go and look at the tier one companies, what stage do you think in the past did they turn around and say to themselves, right, we're not going to actually build anything anymore. We're just going to manage it. And then we're just going to bring out all these contractors and we're going to create a model whereby we don't do the work, but we manage the work.
Well, I think there's an emerging difficulty, Gavin. There's no doubt about it that there's a downturn in work. I mean, I spend a lot of time, and I'm a consultant with some of the construction organisations, and their members are seeing a downturn in work.
Yeah.
So therefore, in many instances, they've got to take on a contract because they actually need the work. And a client said to me the other day, I hear what you say. I understand the risk. Yeah. We'll worry about it in 12 months' time.
Wow.
My immediate necessity is to get turnover and as profitable work as I can, and keep the business going. I was actually in discussion with somebody today who mentioned that in terms of making people redundant, that construction organisations are not going to be able to afford to do that because they don't have the money. So how they're going to survive?
Yeah.
They're having to make people redundant to cut their costs, but they can't afford to pay the redundancy payments. Now, that's a new one that has just come out.
I never thought about that one. Like that's heading into sort of, you know, the high street retail model where pensions were being tapped into and all that kind of stuff. Like it's kind of, you know, I suppose where I'm thinking as you're talking there, I'm like, large companies or contractors, they always measure how many jobs they've done, how much turnover they have, you know, how many staff they have, how many hours they've clocked in. But they don't look at it in the reverse model and say, okay, how many tenders have we? How many do we not want? Even though there's a good chance of them getting it, because I think that's probably a better measure, is to say how many contracts can we actually say we don't want?
I think you're right. I think they're besotted with turnover. And I mean, I get phone calls regularly from clients to say, we've just won a major job. Absolutely delighted. And you say, well, what sort of profit are you going to make out of it? Well, if we're lucky if we get 1 or 2%.